Chapter 6: Degrading the Black Culture. The degradation of our Black community and pride has long been a theme we cannot shake off. Through the media, our people gave us this stigma, and it continues to look like it might not be able to get clean. You need to see from the various issues that perplex our being and rob us of any form of cleanliness for you to see just how much damage our pride has. Let's talk about drugs to robbing, killing, and several Black crimes that continue to hurt our souls and damage our well-being. Should we make a fuss about some of these unfortunate occurrences and actions? Should we begin to count them and point fingers at just how degrading they are? Would the list be endless, or would we stop at a junction? Well, the truth is, the degrading deeds are so overbearing and troubling, even to begin to count or name, that we only wish there was a way they could no longer exist. In entirety, we cannot blame others for these degrading acts or actions, but we can honestly tell ourselves some truth, and it is that we are somewhat responsible for our problems. I'll point out some aspects where I have seen and noted we Blacks are being shamed and labeled in the most despicable lights on and about. The list is endless, but we may pick a few. Indecent dressing. Tackle the problem of being humanly shamed and degraded about our looks, and you'd find out that many people are the cause and reason for it. We need to tackle the problem of indecent dressing, which is a factor for these distasteful insults hauled at us and our images. Our women have to do better and dress right, thereby annulling any opportunity for anyone to tear into our race or label offensive remarks on them. You don't need to dress loosely to be acknowledged as beautiful. The truth is that you are a gem, and a priceless ebony one at that. I detest having to see women dressed indecently. I'm not asking our beautiful women not to wear as they want, or look as tasty as they intend to, or possibly not enjoy in the westernization era. All I pray is that you dress decently and pride yourself in the best possible attires that will both speak well of your dignity and praise it equally. We need to get out deserved respect back, which cannot happen when women tend to show themselves in provocative fashions in public. That would be overdoing it. While one has a right, it is in the privacy of his or her home. What you do in private should stay private. With your lover, some things should not be shown in public, only in your home. You have to demand and command the respect you dearly deserve. Upgrade yourself, don't downgrade. My lovely Black sisters, you all know the adage that says, the first impression matters most, and I am sure many of us get judged by our skin color because society has misappropriated how beautiful we are. It wouldn't be fair for them to begin degrading our personality and existence based on our outfit. Respect for yourself comes first before anybody else can give you that. N-word and its degrading usage. It isn't news or rocket science to know that the N-word has been used in the most hurting slurs and degrading form against the Black brothers and sisters for years, and it continues to be so. The hurtful offense meant to attack our existence from the roots and relate us to be slaves, which the white men forced us into in times past, continues to worry me every time I hear people use it. To say I didn't or haven't ever used the derogatory N-word on people before, but that was when I didn't know better. And as soon as I did, I decided to stop immediately. I just had to grow out of using the slur of a word and cast aside the need to degrade ourselves by indulging in its usage. Isn't it enough, then, we have been forced to live through a world that sees us as nothing past our skin color? The N-word is another aspect of life through which the Black brothers have felt degraded for centuries, and we should intend for it to come to an end. Then you and I must begin to respect ourselves as Blacks, and not just any Blacks, but precious ones. Glory is in our DNA, also brothers. Wear pants correctly. In association with the N-word and how our beautiful Black ladies dress in ways that attract the worst possible thoughts against them, we, the Black brothers, continue to take our craze up a notch. I mean, when is it going to come to an end? When will we finally realize that we command our respect and nobody will gladly hand it over to us? For years, and it continues to be so in current time, our Black brothers developed the habit of donning their pants in an utterly shameful way, wearing their pants below the waistlines, all in the conceived thought is fashion. Well, I will tell you that it gives the other parties more ammunition to label us like idiots and further smear our pride and beautiful image, which isn't fair. Wear your pants right and wear them well. There's no need to act negligently on how silly it makes us look. We deserve our respect, and nobody will take the Black community seriously with their brief showing and their backsides exposed. We got to have more self-respect for ourselves. Mental and bodily prostitution and self-slaving. I need my sisters to wake up. When we watch our dear sisters get abused and subjected to degradation in their family members' hands, the more disturbing, and don't try to help them. We must do our best to help them. While the harm might have on some, we see others volunteering willingly to use their bodies as means to gain money. Dark paths can lead to no points of return in some cases. It is dangerous when you regard the various misdeeds associated with sharing your body and soul with different men and women, all in a bid for money. Aside from the evil acts that come with this perverse way of living, you'd find our men getting themselves praised and acknowledged for degrading a dear sister's body for the money and cheap thrills. The men have become an object of praise for the libido strength rather than their brain capacity. And it is painful to watch. They prostitute themselves both intellectually and body-wise. Now, the stigma in the act of sleeping around falls on women instead of our men. A woman is a whore regardless of her sexual prowess. Once she has the habit of sleeping with more than one man, the double standards have been not right from the start. I need you to ask yourself these questions. Aren't you scared of the diseases associated with this unworthy life? Haven't you heard of the reality check that comes with HIV, STDs? Too much information is available to learn from now. They are all real, and I tell you this because many are suffering from them without saying. Black African American women have a high rate of herpes, but brothers play a part in giving sisters herpes and vice versa. Everyone, diseases are real. We must be cared. I feel a person should be very open about getting STDs and HIV tested even before deciding to have sex with their partner. Wearing a condom is not bulletproof. You can still catch a disease like herpes or get a woman pregnant. Every person must take this responsibility seriously. Drug abuse. Without a doubt and without the need for saying that Black men abuse drugs, deal it, and take it daily, we have become synonymous with drugs that alleys, bus stops, dark corners on streets, and even homes have become centers for drug trades and abuse regularly. Growing concern that not only dismantles any sense of pride or worth we might hope to have, but also opens us to harm on all fronts. Drugs like crack cocaine crippled our community for decades. Many innocent babies came into the world blinded and deformed from their mother using illegal drugs. I understand weed is not crack, but the government helped in flooding our streets with drugs. This is the hard and most bitter truth. Taking these drugs isn't the only sad part of drug-related issues amongst Blacks. If not for the feud that comes with them, the gang wars stemming from territorial disputes on who controls the trafficking of one drug or another, these wars and drug feuds have left many dead, many injured, and much more homeless people with no means of ever getting back to a stable life within society. Drugs never help. They drain you of your right to live and degrade your soul. Alcohol abuse. A horrible part of degrading the soul is the overuse of alcohol. It is okay to drink within a limit, but abusing drinks and making them your addiction only damages your soul. Black men, brothers, and sisters, put the bottle down and get help if you have a drinking problem. For how long are we Black men going to continue hanging around liquor stores and making them our home? It is understandable for a homeless person or a hobo in search of something to drink or eat, but the sight isn't gratifying for anyone if you are lost or not. It only paints the damaging images of us, in which the media houses are more than willing to print and air for others to make derogatory and hypocritical comments. Black brothers and sisters, don't let liquor and drugs control you. They are being in a depressed state that tarnishes our character and also dents any hopes of getting anything right about ourselves in the public eye. Many drinking spots have always been popular over the years as a means to siphon Black men of their hard-earned cash and dignity while they drown in the comfort of colored bottles and liquids. Acting right and dealing with one another right? Another aspect that genuinely hurts me is the white man's ability to label us Blacks with crimes and countless disturbing acts. I once watched a video on the internet depicting just how little they think and how less they think of us. In this video, a white police officer stopped a car at random and happened to see the white woman commanding her to put her hands in the air. Looking baffled and deciding to ask her why she looked so tense and had her hands in the air, the lady replied, "There have been videos of police shooting people for some days now, and I don't want that happening to me." She was indeed right, and this has been going on for quite some time, but the police officer's response was what got me intrigued and offended the most. "You have nothing to worry about, miss. You aren't black, are you? We only shoot black people." I need you to read through that again and let it all sink. We blacks have given room for this level of distasteful labels and castigation from the white community because we haven't done our reputation the amount of good we need. From shameful acts of theft being carried out daily to the endless killings which continue to soil our names to this very day, we do ourselves no good. I remember an incident that occurred while I was in the 12th grade. I learned an old classmate got shot multiple times in the chest, only for his killers to drop him off outside an alley. He had gone about stealing and doing other crimes to black people like himself until they eventually caught up with him, making the right choices. He still could have been living today, a preventable death, but he chose not to value his integrity and went on the wrong path, which ultimately brought his harm and death. We need to learn that all these actions damage us personally and tarnish our image on the grand scale, and it isn't right. We do nothing but degrade ourselves, which shouldn't be our aim or reason for this planet's existence. What we need to do. Such terrible acts we take up, from stealing to indecent dressing, have to stop. We need to make do with sisters, understand solutions to end shattering our image around the globe. We need to cast and strike off the unpleasant thoughts that first come to mind when people think of black people, because we aren't horrible, we aren't terrible, and we aren't evil. My dear brothers and esteemed sisters, it is high time we stop acting in ways that either land using terrible situations or places such as prisons, or even worse, 6 feet beneath the ground. We need to begin taking actions and responsibilities for our efforts. You and I should become accountable for our sins and find ways to atone for them without forgetting that what we lay on here and now is what the future generation will look back to and build. The solution doesn't just pop up from the earth. We need to find the spirit of accountability and groom it within us and that of our children. We need to walk the path of growth and not just talk about it. Walk the walk and not just talk the talk. So let's act in a way that deal with us more respect than defame our characters and existence. If you want to get respected as a lady and you go on ahead and agreeing to sleep with multiple men at the same time, then what will be left of you to be respected? I've seen videos online depicting these heinous crimes, and it hurts my soul and makes me cringe in pain for the beautiful black woman in it. Without a doubt, she will come to regret her actions, but the damage is done to her, and not just her alone, but the entirety of the black population. We are dying in degradation, wrongful labeling, and disrespect, which stems from our actions, and I implore us all to have a critical look at everything we do. Sisters are dying from diseases and in the hands of men who harm their bodies, while brothers in gang wars and terrible alley fights that only leave them choking in their blood on the streets. So I implore you all, and especially the black sisters, if you are being handled unjustly by a man, forget the embarrassment you feel might come of it and head right off to a center where you would receive help. Cry for help and bring an end to it so you can live your life in dignity. I'd also implore our black brothers to cut down and abolish the cruel way to feel alive, which is abusing drugs and the use of narcotics. If drinking becomes a problem, you cannot handle and seek help if the use of drugs has become a burden, either intentionally and otherwise seek advice and find solace in your right for dignity and freedom. You are too blessed and glorified with abundance to belittle yourself with the dangerous feel that comes with intoxication. There is a solution to it all. Simply act right, think right, and choose right. Redemption isn't a far-fetched thing for us as blacks if only we seek what is right and just for our beings. Stop the acts of permitting men to wash away your pride with drinks while they shower your buttocks with them and demand that you dance erotically. Stop the degrading action of allowing men the opportunity to have a go at your bosom, with their hands all in the bid for money. As stated above, I plead with our goddesses and black pearls to stop allowing themselves to get used in ways. These uncanny actions only promote self-destruction, self-abuse, and self-hate on levels beyond what the mind can comprehend. It extends toward the industry where our Black rappers use the opportunity they get through their music to promote our culture and misappropriate it with labels that don't suit or fit. We need to say a hard and firm no to drugs, gang wars, alcoholism, prostitution, and every other vice out there that don't speak well to us or for our community in general. We cannot keep leaving our mothers crying when they see us bolted and cuffed off to jail, or worse, dead on the streets with vultures feeding off our remains. Learn to know you are worth more value yourself. When do we begin to see how much we are worth? Time and time again, we settle for less, which is a problem that can only be solved when we know our worth. We need to understand that we are worth more than the cheap drinks being poured into or on our women's cleavages. Our women are better than everything the society mentions, and our greatness is well above that of others because we are people of pedigree. We should learn to pick right and not what's left. The above words can be confusing, but it only continues to hammer how we Black folks need to make the right choices. It baffles me when I think about how well Black women accept men who convict over the hard-working ones they often regard as uncool or not their types. Why not make the right choices? You don't have to settle for less when the time comes. Many Black women find themselves unable to connect with the right partners when they've aged and chosen to spur the good ones that come their way because they are involved with the wrong men of sketchy natures and personalities. They stick with the men who are in and out of jail because of the thrills they enjoy with them, only to realize that the relationship ends up damaged from the start and then begin to seek the right men when it is all but too late. Eventually, they get to settle for less, which is a damning case. Some Black men want to do better, but we still have many kings that go in and out of prisons and jails. Sisters have to make better choices. They are worth more and rightly should get the best in life. The validation of love from thugs or drug lords and men should cease to exist, as this only spells out a level of low self-esteem, which is what we have to tackle in our daily lives if we need the degradation to come to an end. Aim for higher standards. Aside from fighting or combating the low self-esteem our dear Black women have become riddled with, I'd implore us to all seek what is right for queens and goddesses. It would mean abolishing the desire to go after thugs who would leave you pregnant, uncared for, and continuously abused by those who drive you towards being better versions of yourself. Learn to weigh out the pros and the cons of the men you meet and effectively make the decision not based on your selfishness, but on the fact that your future and kids' prospects might be at stake. See through the charade of lies and the facade these lowly men come to you. Many come after those they are sure they can siphon and use to their wellness, while this is a habit we should not permit. Let sex and materialistic things not rule your judgment so you may make the right decisions and find yourselves with we are a much better choice if we can choose to make the right decisions. The truth is, men value high-end, respectable women, so merely make right. Place yourself on a pedestal where nobody can belittle you or knock you off of it. Following no good people will lead you to nowhere. It isn't fair to continue to permit yourself to be used as a housing material or as a cleaning tool while your esteem, pride, and every other beautiful part of yourself are insulted and damaged. I do not indulge in ladies who let themselves get used or fully aware of the atrocities committed by their men while deciding not to show any remorse or take proper actions. While some will point at the lack of proper education and exposure as the reasons for some women being and acting the way they do, what should we say of those who have degrees spanning across the academic levels? Those with master degrees and careers in high places are yet to truly understand their position as gems in this world of ours. If only you women understood, sisters, you are not meant to settle for indecency or less. The same goes for men. You cannot stick with mediocrity or live in it. You are entitled to set the best examples for those coming after us. And we as Black men and women need to put these foundations in place. Nothing is of its essence in our lives. Poor choices only lead to more mediocre results, and in the end, you find yourself wallowing in so much misery and hurt that you have nobody else but yourself to blame. Seek the positive ones and stick with them. It is essential that to battle negativity, and we should remove the garbage in our lives. We need to learn to seek the positive people around us and allow them to impart and impact our lives in the United States alone. There are countless numbers of Black children born out of wedlock, with the blame falling on Black women who never really seem to consider the mental and physical damages they were dealing with the children when they made such poor choices in the first place. Some believe they bear enough excellent reasons, such as trapping a man with a child or merely having one so they can abort the next ones to come, But all of this tells us there is a problem somewhere, and solutions are gravely needed. My ebony women, I implore you to take heed and rise against the disturbing acts of making decisions that do nothing to assist us in our future endeavors. Pick the right men and stick with them, and hopefully, they will come to see the greatness in you, and together, you will bring an end to the endless suffering these children face in our modern world. Do children need a great deal of stability in this world? And who to provide it to them than us? Our image is important. Considering the frenzy associated with the world at large and how we use social media as tools to showcase ourselves, I believe this is another essential avenue to honestly project to the world the beauty we bear and what we have to offer. Painfully, that has not been the case, and it needs to stop right away. You and I have seen the various posts, and we know what I speak. Our women promote their stupidity rather than their brilliance on Facebook, Instagram, and for likes and superficial attention, while our black men upload and shoot photos of themselves promoting violence and indecency. To what end will all this be? When will the men become the desirable fathers? And when will the mothers be the women to lead the next generation into greatness? Let no child who gets pregnant at any age take the blame. Let not the boy who began handling guns and engaging in provocative actions at the child's age take the responsibility solely. Let the adults like you and I, men and women, all black in races, make the blames for not leading our kids on the right path so we can come to a reasonable solution on what should become of them. If you do not see yourself as capable of taking care of those children, then abstain. It isn't necessary to have kids, especially when you aren't able to cater to them. There isn't the need for innocent kids to get hurt because of our lack of proper decision-making. We can do better. They don't need to get the degrading treatments we have opened ourselves to the world. Instead, we shouldn't feel entitled, but work towards being recognized for the driving forces. Government welfare shouldn't be our way of life. We are darn better than that. Let us come together, breach the understanding, and connect on a more focused level so our lives can proceed in perfection. Nobody is perfect, but we can walk the path of perfection without being belittled by those who are waiting for us to fail. Time waits for no man, and when you look at it, our black men and women look haggard and more battered than they should be in age. The physical degrading and mental hurt that comes with being belittled and treated like nothing by the world gets to them more than they know. Their actions continue to drench them in misery, and while they sell their souls and bodies, the devil pays them back in kind with the most damning results. I say to you all in this chapter, end the excuses and stop the immoralities, be accountable and honor your self-respect as best as possible. Progress might come to look slow, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel for our black sisters if they act right. Choose to walk the right path and be the best versions of themselves without falling into the devil's snares. We should learn and not denounce those who are speaking of their experiences and hurt. We should find the strength to talk and not suffer in silence to see progress and inner peace. My black women, you are queens, and your black men are kings too. It is why I pledge and want myself and my life to help anyone in need of it. We should cease from spreading hate or causing ourselves to continue to get demeaned and degraded in any form. We need to make the best of the time we have on earth. Let every minute count. Speaking of or about the black culture has and will always be a controversial thing. It tends to shed light on the events that merit the black history and lives, and because it still goes a long way in showing just how things haven't necessarily been turned around in current times. Can we honestly say that there have been improvements across the world regarding black culture and respecting it? Well, that is still up for debate. Black lives matter and black advancements matter. The painful fact remains that our black culture continues to be degraded and downplayed with or to other cultures. Firstly, I am not attempting to condemn other cultures. However, I am indeed trying to inform you that frequently one of the largest races on earth, which is the black populace, isn't well represented in terms of our culture. Our black cultures are dying, and others which aren't ours are being forced or implemented on us against our will. When we consider how much of the black culture is allowed to air on the television these days, or how many of them are still in existence, we begin to see a pattern emerge. Almost as if everything that has to do with the black culture is off of our presence and our very existence. Our culture as blacks gets consistently relegated to nothing, which hurts me and sends shivers down my spine. If you don't believe in my thoughts or my words, I plead with you to closely examine how many black cultural activities are carried out or observed in schools these days. I need you to go around educational systems or places to ascertain how many Black cultural books or themed informational projects they have functioning. It is of no use going around when you can walk past parks and gardens or even places considered to be sites for tourist attractions. Allow yourself the cultural bias and degradation. Our Black history continues to suffer. We do not have enough positive Black accounts for the artistic representation of Black people. We have constant degradation, defamation, and abuse of Black culture both at home and abroad. It is becoming a painful thing of ridicule, so much so that history continues to rewrite to suit the white narrative, further abject dismay and misinterpretation of Black culture. We are being revised out of the truth and sent tumbling down the unbearable hole of defamation. Black culture is nothing more than a footnote in the minds of some outsiders. Go and ask a young child born in the recent era about events he or she is being taught in school or at home. You'll be surprised to hear such a child mention facts, which have been contorted and twisted with senile lies and absolute defamation. Our Black culture stands as nothing but events practiced in the past. Young kids nowadays even find it challenging to represent the Black community or attempt to practice their culture because they don't want to feel regarded as the one-time items, and they want to feature in the New World Order. It is as if they continue to get brainwashed and regularly lied to about how the Black culture was and what it entails. Enough not done to curtail the death of the Black culture, and it is even more painful when we find Black people in power that ought to sort this mishap continue to misuse their opportunities, thereby destroying the Black culture even more. Mentioning names might come off as a direct attack, but when we look at our politicians who share the same skin color as you and see for sure that they aren't doing enough for our Black community, it makes you sick to the bones. Black culture is repeatedly being murdered, and not always by other cultures, but by our own very hands. To what end do we as Blacks continue to allow our culture to slip away? To what purpose do we sit and watch as others spit on our heritage? If not more than half in this current era, half the Black kids know nothing about their heritage or how we even came to be where we are. I see Black kids these days roaming about the neighborhood free as a kite and with no worries, and it brings a coy smile to my lips because they bear no knowledge of what their culture held for them and what it has done on their behalf. Our children currently lack the moral compass or sense of empathy to key into our culture and abide by it. Instead, they would do things the other customs do these days because it is what they advise to follow and what they are being groomed in school or in different facets of their lives to develop. We are Blacks. Let us remain Blacks. I cannot blame many of these institutions solely because these problems evolve from our brothers and sisters when we look at things. Our Black sisters are abandoning our culture, and our Black brothers aren't even interested in enforcing them. It is as if they aren't proud of our culture. It strikes me as odd because our Black brothers are pretty much vocal and are built not to feel intimidated or frightened by anybody. Like Blacks are made to continually paddle the waters regardless of how treacherous they are and how dangerous they might be. We always find ways to get our voice heard. Well, that is until recent times. Have we all forgotten so soon how many Blacks fought fervently to build the Black culture? Can we sincerely say we do not need to praise and uphold the Black culture's dignity, which sadly is now being trampled upon by the other race's dastardly acts? We don't even command as much respect as we ought to for our race or culture anymore, and it is dying out fast. Black culture is becoming no culture fast. It pains me much to admit to this. The Black culture barely exists any longer. The more we continue to watch it being spat on and defecated, the farther it leaves us, and the sooner we are bound to lose it. Many of our Black kids and families are becoming whiter than white because they don't see the essence of uplifting the Black culture. They seem to believe it belongs in the past and currently has no place, which should not be the case. It shouldn't even be an issue to discuss because our Black culture should be influential, and it should bear enough tutorage for us and those behind us. Do we think those who upheld this culture and who are long gone will be in any way happy with us? Honestly, we failed them, and we continue to fail them because we are either too weak-minded to act and speak against the injustice faced by our Black culture, or because we have become snitches and decided to roll with the blows about our culture. Many of us have now succumbed to these blows, which aren't in our nature. I am Black, and I am made of Blackness because I matter. We are Blacks with the propensity to lead the line and not be dumb-minded followers who have their minds brainwashed by the other populace. We ought to continually remind ourselves that lives lost, souls became tarnished by the same people who are degrading and demeaning our culture at every turn and when they get the chance to do so. These souls who were lost belong to us, and they were our sisters, brothers, grandfathers, grandmothers, great uncles, aunts, and so on. They dug in deep, being sweaty and bloody, while they fought for our culture to matter and for it to mean something always. Can you imagine the perilous looks they must have on their faces? Wherever they are when looking down on our generation, as we remain idle and allow the culture they laid their lives down for to become nothing but ridicule. We don't even seem to see how much we lose and how badly we damage our futures when we allow our culture to suffer. Have a look at homes and how our Black culture is being trashed and put to shame. We have children assaulting their parents and kids talking back to their elders without any once or form of respect whatsoever. We have parents neglecting the old age tradition of being responsible for their families because they want to be in trend and act as the new age traditions. That is not working for us, and I will say this with a clear conscience. It just isn't working for us, and we have to come to terms with it promptly. It makes things messier and rather terrible when we take a closer look at the past decade's scopes of events. While we do this, our oppositions and other cultures rejoice because our culture faces rot and slow extinction. Why? Why are we allowing this to happen? Why are we becoming shadowy figures getting carried away and enticing by cultural practices which are not our own? If part of a culture is so enticing, why aren't we even patronizing our own culture? I'm no advocate of war or ordeals, which has to do with inflicting harm on others. I will stand for my culture. It isn't right and it should not be allowed to stand regardless of circumstances. We are Black and our skin is gold. Our culture is meant to be the forerunner and not the one being ditched or cast aside. Others should be practicing our culture and not the other way around. Consider that Blacks were the first to roam this earth freely before the whites came to cart us away on ships after being sold by our Black people. Does it not beget the necessity that we too should gallantly become the ones whose culture should be practiced vehemently and remembered across the world for how interesting and fruitful it is? We aren't second-rate people, and we definitely should not be treated as such. The Black race's culture spans farther into the past so that it used to be envied and become a thing of jealousy. It caused the years of torture for our people when they began getting carted into ships to become slaves because they wouldn't give up what they had. It is why media houses and companies propagate untrue notions that our culture is stale, old, and redundant when the reverse is the case. The Black culture is forever rich and forever beautiful to practice. The Black culture is richer than gold and diamonds itself and bears hallmarks of perfection and enlightenment in every manner. As a result of these truths, there are little of or about our culture practiced. Instead, our culture has become something of a dud, and it doesn't seem to appeal to our young ones or even the older ones still in existence. How long do we have to continue this charade of silliness and abject injustice to and against our culture? Is it in any way commendable to have our culture dragged along the muddy waters of ordinary acts perpetrated by those who don't want to see it grow? I am Black and I will always be Black. My Black sisters have to do better when it comes to enlightening our young ones about their cultures. They need to assist the young ones in gaining ample knowledge and retaining severe facts about the past and how it continues to haunt our present. Our culture, with each passing day, are getting destroyed. The flame was representing our battles. Often I listen to people speak of the American culture, and when they say this, they mostly mean or talk about the white cultures. They never, under any circumstances, equate the Black man's religion with what they are speaking. I find it rather odd and baffling because this is not meant to be the case at all. Whatever culture the United States of America has comes from us. It is ours and ours alone and cannot stay disrespected. We have been cheated, jilted, and continuously berated on what belongs to us, and even when they decide to grant Blacks any form of an attribute for their culture. A good background for us as Blacks to cling. I can entirely sympathize with people for a certain degree of misgivings, which they now have against their own culture. I know some Black men and women, brothers and sisters, doubt our Black culture and heritage. The fault isn't one of their doing, and I cannot hold it against them. The responsibility gets brought about by vicious propaganda built to cause more than a simple stir within the Black community. Social media, giants, news channels, history keepers, and many more continue to contort information about our culture in such a way that it becomes difficult for many of us to even accept the Black heritage and learning to be accurate and to be good. They misinterpret any fact they receive to be accurate and turn it against us, thereby making us ridicule subjects. We shouldn't allow this to continue. We should not allow our culture to get smeared or soiled in such displeasing outcomes because it not only means negativity, but it means that our past is being insulted. No Black person should allow such insult to stand. So I shout atop my voice and hope as you read this book that you find understanding in my words and know what it means to be Black. Our culture is our spine. Try and imagine yourself without a spine. Imagine the possibilities that are bound to come with this. Will you be able to walk freely, or will you be able to function appropriately? My sure bet is that you will develop a disability and life will be a bore for you. The presence will even become close to meaningless when this becomes the case. Our culture is our spine, and it is the building block upon which our Black identity grows. When it is smeared with dirt and degraded or defamed in the manner which is the case currently, that spine continues to crumble. It pains me and it should hurt you too. We should be the apex predators whose cultural background should be respected and not belittled. Our cultural beliefs should be encouraged and agreed upon and not tarnished. Our culture is superior and should not die. To this, I pray you, my dear Black brothers and sisters. I beg my Black sisters to assist in ensuring that our history and culture are kept safe and nurtured appropriately. We don't deserve to have our culture displayed as nothing but ancient artifacts in museums. We don't need to have our culture left in show glass and left to rot with cobwebs so people can come to see them once in a while and not all the time. Isn't it suitable for our culture? Our culture needs to be put out there and allowed to be on display every day and everywhere. Black culture is the key to understanding the universe and how it worked before we were born. Our perceptions are the gateway and access we as humans have to the past. It is what links us with our ancestors and what makes us who we are in the present. We are nothing without our culture, and I plead with every Black person to make sure they uphold and respect our culture to the very core. Nothing beats Black culture, and nothing can ever come close to it. We will overcome and shine brightly and be allowed to fester positively in the minds of generations in the end.